Welcome to Model Horse Tack School. My name is Carrie, and to start off this Western clothing doll module, rider, whatever you want to call them, action figure, all of them, they're all the same. So what I want to do is look at the plethora of riders or dolls that I've found, and it's important for things like shoes and pants and shirts and what all, how you're going to fit them. So we'll take a look at some of the shorter ones. So this is one I got from classictvtoys.com. She's the super articulated, and so she's got jointage everywhere, which is nice. I mean, even her wrists turn. This is really nice for riders, so she's probably preferred. She has a very special head, so make sure if you do that, you buy the head for the articulated doll and not the standard doll. So she's not so bad as far as proportions, so she's not too curvy. She doesn't have huge hips, so she should be relatively easy to make clothes for. However, it's hard to get boots on when they have jointed. I mean, her feet spin, you know. So that's going to be a challenge to put shoes on her and to get them off again. So that's one thing to look at, because they'll point, but they don't necessarily, like us, then we move our foot inward. She's not necessarily going to do that. It may stay pointed when you try to slip on shoes. Okay, so then also at Classic TV Toys, I got these two. Now her feet go up and down, they don't spin, but her arms don't. She's got no bend in her arms. So I don't like their standard 6-inch female because of that. You know, her head turns, her waist turns, her hips go back and forth, they don't go outward. So this one's going to be tough to put on a rider, and that's from classictvtoys.com. Okay, so I don't really recommend the teenage regular doll because she's just not going to ride well. Get the super articulated. I think she's $1 more for that. This is their teenage or 6-inch male doll. He's a little taller than 6 inches, 6.5 inches, but his hips go outward, so he's going to be able to ride. His feet are jointed, but they don't spin, so that's really good. I wasn't pleased with the way the shoulder attached on this one. I had to add another rubber band across the chest to keep the shoulders in place. So he's not exceptional quality, but he'll do, you know. His arms go outward. That's the extra rubber band I put in there. So he'll do. And he's a little beefy, so the shirt's going to need to be a little triangular, come fitted down. And I always make them longer so they'll stay in the pants. Okay, so he's acceptable. And Classic TV Toys. Now, I did Classic TV Toys because I was making my own bodies. Now I haven't put her hands on yet, and basically I'll just wire wrap those on, and that should be the right length. Because if you look at, you know, all the dolls, the hands end about mid-thigh, so that'll end about mid-thigh. I purposely made her without any, like, curves, because she's going to be really easy to make clothes for. And this head was Classic TV Toys, and then I'll go ahead and wire on her hands. And she's 7 inches, so she's, you know, in scale of 1/9, she would be about 5 foot 4 inches tall. So that would be about right. That's about the average height for women. Not that women aren't taller, but she's actually about my height. I'm not that thin, and I don't have a waistline at all. I don't know what I have, but I don't have legs. I don't have a waist. So anyways, that's an option that I have. Now, then we go into the dolls for Brer over the ages. And this is a Brenda Brer, and she is... she's an 8-inch doll. They're getting older, so their rubber bands are starting to break. And hers broke when I took off the clothes. So I'll have to, you know, re-rubber band her. And I do recommend rubber bands. Her hips can go outward. Her knees can bend. I mean, I'm not sure how well that's going to work. Because, like, that one's not going to stay. So it's not It's not as great as the newer riders. Her arms bend, at least, unlike that other one. So she'll be acceptable for some, you know, events after I get her fixed. Let's see. Let's do the some of the males. These are it's a 7-inch male doll, so that's, and these are a couple 7-inch that were Reeves. This one, I mean, he's going to be pretty easy. He's got girl's hips, though, so I don't know. He has almost no chest, but he'll be relatively easy to make clothes for. His arms bend. It's a wire armature, so don't overbend them. You know, bend them too much. He has clicky knees, so he's but he's probably got a rubber band, so be careful, because then you might have to, it's not hard to replace the rubber band. You need some crochet hooks, the tinier ones, to be able to reach in and pull the rubber band up, and the hook is in the head. And maybe I'll show you how to do that on that Brenda. And then this is one of their bull riding dolls. I think that is actually the face of some famous bull rider of the time. Now he's gonna be beefy. So, you know, if you look, you're going to have to make different pants, right? Because this guy's legs are really thin, where this guy's got beefy legs. So you're going to have to tailor them specifically to the doll. And that's really what this clothes module is about, is how do I fit to the different dolls? What pattern size do I use? He's got a big chest, so I would almost use an 8-inch doll clothing pattern and then sew it to fit him, because the 6-inch would fit this guy fine and all the other 6-inch and 7-inch dolls. But this guy, because his chest is so beefy, you need either something for a 7-inch, and he's a little taller than 7 inches, or you would need to use the 8-inch and fit it to him. Some more 6-inch. These are the 6-inch. This guy was the clown, the rodeo clown. That's why his face is like that. And his head doesn't turn really well. There we go. Probably hasn't been turned in ages. Now these, he's actually well done. Articulation is, so his hands are fisted, and he's actually pretty good. If I could, you know, fix the paint on his face, I'm not sure I would go through that. Because I don't want to ruin him, but and I'm not all that good at that type of stuff. I'm sure a little acetone would probably pull that off, and then I'd have to give him red lips again. But I don't want to ruin the eyes, because I can't paint that small at all. So that's your 7-inch boy doll, and then the 6-inch girl doll, and she's a little bit taller than 6 inches, she's about 6.5, and so she would actually ride really well for your traditional scale, because she'll never be seen as too big for those models. So these are good quality ones to get. There's no rubber bands to worry about. So the newer ones are closer to the classic TV toys, but these don't have rubber bands that break. When it comes to, we'll do another. Now his foot broke when I went to take his boot off. He's got some age to him, but now I have to figure out how to put that back on. So I'll figure that out, because that's what I do all day. I figure things out. He's a little chesty, but not nearly as big as this guy. I mean, this guy's super buff. And so you use an 8-inch doll pattern. He's going to be relatively easy to make clothes for, because he doesn't have 3-dimensional curves. He's actually a tube, and that's so much easier to make clothing for, I have found. Now, other 8-inch, this is the current style for Brer. She's got a tiny waist, and she's got big chest. So I know that there are some people who make dolls clothing, and they actually modify her because they don't like that she's so chesty. She rides well because of this, but she has this massive thigh. That's not the length of a normal human thigh. It's just massive, which means she's got really big hips. She is very difficult to make clothing for because of all the adjustments you have to make So if you can, stick to the boy dolls, stick to the teenage dolls that have no breasts. You know, she's good. She's almost just tubular, you know, so she would be easy to make clothes for. She's going to be one of the hardest. And she's also can be too tall for models, because at 8 inches, she would be a 6 foot tall person, and that's a little tall for women. It's not the average height. Then I have this guy. I'm going to assume he's a guy. I think that pelvis says he's a guy, and the jawbone says he's a guy. So those are markers, you know. They're in bone and not... anyways, so he's, you know, if I'm going to make him clothes, which I want to, I think he'd be fun to have riding a horse. Anyways, this is from Classic TV Toys. He's 8 inch. He's very chesty as well. This is a big rib cage, so you know, you're going to need to, he's almost, the pants should be fairly simple because they just go like straight up, right? So the pants should be relatively easy. The shirt will be a little bit more challenging because of his chest. And that's just something to think about when you're, you know, going to select a rider. Try and select the ones that'll be easier to make the clothing for. Okay, so that's the collection of dolls that I've gathered and the different sources that I found them in. And I hope you found that helpful. Thank you for spending time with me today. Like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and have a great day.